One of the things that I've been learning that I want to encourage you with is to start being thankful for not having enough. You might right now be in a situation where that's a point of despair. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough friendship. I don't have enough opportunity. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy because maybe my health is currently being challenged. Whatever that I don't have enough is, whatever that lack represents for you, I want to encourage and challenge you to reframe how you see it. On the journey that God invites us into, the mission that He has for us, there's always an invitation to go on a journey that is going to lead us to a place of not having enough. But our human nature interprets anything external, lack of money, lack of friendship, lack of opportunity, as meaning I am not enough. I'm sure you've done that. We've all done that. We interpret the situation that we're in as a reflection upon ourselves. There's no opportunity because I'm not worthy of opportunity. There's not enough money because I don't carry enough value to bring to the marketplace. And we start to give meaning to the lack and not having enough that is completely false. And so the reason I'm saying it's time to start being grateful and thankful for not having enough is because the moment we introduce gratitude into any area of our life, it forces a reframing of the situation. I mean, think about it. If you're going through a really tough time, challenging situation, and you tell yourself, smile for the next 5 minutes, just keep smiling. What's the number one question that you're internalizing as you're smiling? You're saying, well, what have I got to smile about? All of a sudden, you start to ask questions. You cultivate curiosity. And the faith journey that I see Jesus taking his disciples on was a journey where he would lead them into situations where there was lack, not to cause them to be self-critical and doubt themselves, but in fact to discover that it's what is in the unseen that ultimately drives everything that is seen. The lack that is on the outside points to the fact that God has created us to bring increase where there is lack. In other words, if you have a solution to a problem, if you knew right now, I've got the solution to a disease that somebody's got, and you just need to get the word out there. I've got the solution. All of a sudden, you see the problems around you as opportunities. Why? Because you see yourself as a solution. And when you're in the kingdom of heaven and a citizen of the kingdom of heaven, you realize that your identity is a solution identity, not a problem identity. You're not a problem to this world. You're a solution to this world. And I don't think there's any better story for me in my journey than that of John chapter 6. In John chapter 6, Jesus has this conversation with his disciples as the crowds have grown so big following Jesus that they start to gather around him and be with him for such a long period of time that they are hungry and they need something to eat. It says in John chapter 6 that Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd approaching, and then he said this to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" And it says that he only asked this in order to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. And Philip goes on to talk about the fact that, 8 months' wages wouldn't be able to feed these people. And this is far bigger problem than we're able to solve. But Jesus invites Philip into a problem that he's going to use Philip in solving. They end up finding the 5 loaves and 2 fishes from a young boy in the crowd, and then Jesus takes what is obviously far too small a solution as it stands to deliver meals to 13,000 people potentially, because there were 5,000 men and then there were women and children. And yet Jesus teaches us that when you are stood before a problem that is bigger than the solution that you hold in your hands, you give thanks. You give thanks because you start to see what is in your hands as what it could become. You apply faith, which is more than enough, to the not enough. Rather than despising the small that is in your hand as not enough, and therefore I'm not able to be part of solving this problem. Jesus invites us into attention. He's invited you into attention right now, and that tension looks like you looking at the not enough and realizing that through him and an identity shaped by God, you are more than enough to deliver that solution to that problem. I know in our journey, every couple of years, there seems to be an invitation to push the boat out, to stretch, to reach further, to get out of that place which we'd started to become comfortable in. It was yesterday's challenge, but it's today's comfort. And to start to go again and to believe for bigger, believe for more. And every time that we do that, it first of all creates a feeling of not being enough. Philip would have felt not enough because the problem seemed to dwarf his own sense of identity. But Jesus invites us into those scenarios in order to reveal more of who he is through our identity. That actually you can reframe the problem as an opportunity. That the not enough is actually going to reveal a gap currently in your belief system. That limitation that says, I don't think I'm able to be, do, have. To actually start to challenge that gap. And as that gap is closed in your identity, you're able to grow to the next level and to deliver the next level of increase, to bring that solution, to bring that impact, that influence that you carry inside of you. So the lack that right now that you and I may wish would just go away, would just vanish and disappear. Maybe we've even played with the idea of taking an escape route or an exit. And it's amazing, isn't it, when we face these times of lack, these times of challenge, how those exit signs suddenly appear, those lights go on. And it can be so tempting to shift our gaze away from the lack and to run down an exit route. But I want to challenge you, keep your eyes fixed on who God is, on who he says you are, and allow that to be the lens through which you are looking at the problem. And the starting point is not how are we going to feed these 13,000 people. It's giving thanks for what's in your hands. Give thanks for the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes. It may seem completely insufficient, insignificant, but start to give thanks. And then what did they do? They started to serve what they had in their hands. They started to give it away. They started to feed people. And they didn't stop until everybody was fed. They didn't wait for the one big solution to drop out of the sky that was going to solve the issue of lack. They simply shifted their frame of what they were looking at. That actually, I thank you, God, that I have more than enough because I am more than enough through Christ, and serve it. Serve it, serve it. Every piece of bread that you serve, every choice to add value, to encourage, to serve that product, that service that you do each day, that those words of encouragement, those stories that you tell, whatever it is that you're serving on a daily basis, do it consistently. Do it with a sense of, I am more than enough. And as you do it, I really believe you are going to start to see the miraculous increase of how you are going to solve a problem you never thought you could solve. And actually, it's going to teach you, as it's taught me. And I'll need to remind myself of this lesson again in the next iteration of who I'm becoming, because that's growth. We are always going to find areas where we don't feel like we're enough. But that's good news, because when we discover the area where we are not enough, we're able then to close that gap with a fresh revelation of who God is as he invites us to solve a problem that is bigger than ourselves. So if right now you have reached a state of paralysis because you're just sick and tired of looking at not enough, you know what to do. Give thanks, serve what you have to those around you, do it consistently, and start to see how that gap, first of all, internally starts to shift, starts to close, and then start to watch the multiplication of your impact and influence. And trust me, you're going to start to see opportunities, doors open, relationships start, ideas formed, alliances created that's going to take you to a whole nother level of influence and impact. I've been amazed when I stopped simply trying to figure things out and just start being grateful for what's in my hand and serve people with what I have, how I start to find ways to do things that I never thought were possible. I start to see increase that I never thought I would see. And the lack that was in my yesterday is now a place of abundance today, because I shifted how I was viewing that lack. I was giving thanks for not enough. Why? Because ultimately I'm made in the image of a God who is more than enough. Hope this serves you well. Remember, today and every day you are a champion, and there's more inside of you than you think. I'll speak soon.